we're looking at older properties, so there's a fairly good chance that many, if not all of them, will fall through on the structural inspection. So if you've only viewed three of them and then they all don't pass the inspection, that's the other thing is you'll be spending about $1,000 on each structural inspection. That's another reason to aim for the younger ones if you can. But if they all fall out of process because of the structural condition, then we just looked at two or three of them and we have to go back to the drawing board. So the
Right.
more
Okay.
we can prep in advance, the better our chances of landing on one that's in good condition. Hi there, folks, and welcome back to Nippon Trading International's Japan Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Ziv Nakajima again, and this podcast is brought to you, among others, by Emil Gorgies of realestate.jp. He's a Tokyo real estate agent who specializes in serving international or mixed nationality families who are looking for the perfect family home. So Emil's an Australian. He's been living here in Japan for over 2 decades now, and for about half of that time he's been buying, selling, and managing real estate properties in Tokyo on behalf of his own family and a great many happy clients. And he also acts as a mortgage broker on behalf of his clients. So he's got dedicated loan officers in many of the Japanese mega banks. And if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you probably already know him from our JREP, the Japan Real Estate Experts Panel sessions, which means that you're already aware of the fact that the man is an absolute fountain of wisdom on all things related to real estate in Japan, and in particular to family homes, the greater Tokyo metropolitan area, and mortgages. And most importantly, he's incredibly generous with his time and advice, which he's more than happy to provide at no cost or commitment to anyone asking. So if you've been thinking about buying your home in Tokyo, but you've been sitting on the fence for a while, or you just want to have a chat in English with a real expert, drop him a line on sales@realestate.jp. Hit him up today and start exploring your options. All right, so if you're here in Japan, you're probably listening to this while chilling out on holiday at home or elsewhere, since we've just entered Golden Week, one of the longer annual holidays in Japan. Most companies, ourselves included, will be closed during various points or throughout most of the first and second week of May. Personally, I'm going to be hopping on a ferry to Korea from tomorrow until next Thursday, so planning to go off-radar for a good few days. Please don't expect any episodes to drop in the next week or so, which also means that all inquiries with realtors, property management companies, renovation companies, etc. are on hold for a bit. But I did want to leave you with at least one episode before this takes place. And this one's actually another one of those two conversations in one episode deals. Hope you like them. So the first one is with a first-time investor in Japan, but experienced overseas. He's purchased and has been running Airbnb, short-term stay properties in the US. And he'd like to do the same here in Japan, more specifically in Otaru, up in Hokkaido, a small town that's become increasingly popular with overseas buyers in recent years. We've had a much longer interview with one of our favorite clients who's purchased and has been running some similar business ventures up there. We will link to that episode in the show notes as well. So we talk short-term stay legislation and licensing, compliance requirements, and what the application for a license actually looks like. We also talk cross-border taxation for hospitality businesses or property investment-related income in general, tax treaties and such, remote management and financials for non-residents, how do short-term stay property management companies work in Japan and how much they charge, how we vet potential listings for this purpose, renovations, installations, DIY work, how the national half-year limit on casual short-term stay rentals, or minpaku as it's called here, works. And then we go a bit macro and talk general property market trends and projections, foreign interest in Japanese real estate, Japan's population decline and debt to GDP ratio, those two issues and how they might factor into the grand scheme of profitability here. Investment mistakes, including some that I've made myself, in case you'd like to gloat a bit. And of course, a short chat about our own services, how they work, and when they might be required. So, nice and thorough conversation about all things related to short-term stay businesses in the snowy north specifically, but generally in Japan. Hope you enjoy it, and don't forget, there's another call coming right after this one, so be sure to stick around. Okay, good stuff. So let me just quickly review our correspondence. So you want to buy a house, questions about minpaku, tourist visa. You already have Airbnbs. Okay, that's good. So you know what to expect ish. Um, right. Okay. Well, let's start with your questions because I'm assuming you've read at least a little bit. I don't want to just like bombard you with stuff that you already know about.
Yeah, so yeah, I want to buy a house in Hokkaido, and specifically Otaru, and we were just there for a week and we really like it. And I have experience running Airbnbs in ski towns by me in Vermont, and I think that just basics, looking at the numbers, like what I was charged $200 a night in this little town, and this house had nothing updated. It was like stuck in 1970, and we're still paying 200 a night. And yeah, just when you look at the numbers, just excluding everything else, the numbers look really good.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, assuming we
definitely,
can get the occupancy high enough, but yeah.
of course, yeah. So I was looking at a lot of the Airbnbs, and they have really good occupancy throughout the winter. They're all pretty much booked up for 3, 4 months. So yeah, my main questions were. First question was, how does the taxing work? Obviously, because I would do it on a tourist visa. I don't plan on moving to Japan. So how does the tax work? Do I pay US taxes or do I also pay Japanese tax for the money I'm making on Airbnb?
Well, you firstly pay your taxes in Japan because the asset is in Japan and the income is generated in Japan. So that's the first place you
Okay.
pay your taxes. And then Japan and the US have a tax treaty in place. So you're not going to be double taxed, but you'll take your tax
Okay.
return from Japan, give it to your US accountant, and then they will figure out the difference. So, for example, if you're taxed 20% in Japan and 50% in the US, then the US will charge you the extra 30%. There's not going to be any double taxation, but you'll still need to catch up to whatever you need
Got
to
it.
pay in the US. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then so I assume you need a bank account to do those, to pay your taxes. But if you're not a resident, how do you do that?
Well, not just your taxes. You need to pay your utility bills. You need to pay your insurance. You need to pay municipal taxes. I mean, that's not much. It's peanuts usually, but you do need to pay quite a few things when you do renovations, repairs. They also don't know how to receive funds from overseas. So we normally, for our non-resident clients, we normally provide that as part of the management service, meaning that
Okay.
we will be the nominated bank account and address and contact phone number for that matter, because the utility companies and the insurance company need that as well. And then we will be providing you with an annual income and expenses report. And then whenever you want the funds sent back to you, just let us know whether it's, you don't have to wait for the statement. If you see that for example, if the Japanese yen suddenly takes a hike and you want to transfer your income now because you're getting more dollars, then let us know. Even if it's in the middle of the year, we'll give you a rough approximation and remit based on that. And then if we overshoot, then we'll recoup it from your rental income down the track. If it's small amounts, it's not a big deal for us. So
Okay.
that's what we would normally do for our clients. If you're working specifically with short-term stays, a lot of the short-term stay management companies that you work with in Japan will have to be at least internationally savvy, because slightly internationally savvy, because they're catering to foreign guests, obviously. So in some
Mhm.
cases, they might be able to work with you directly, in which case you won't need us, right? We're usually
Okay.
there in case you need to work with more. I mean, for the management side, we're usually there in case you need to work with more traditional Japanese companies who need a Japanese face. Then we
Mhm.
can do everything on your behalf. You won't have a bank account, but the property manager will be collecting the rental income on your behalf. Obviously, it's going to be their booking
Got it.
system, so they can transfer it. If they're, foreigner savvy, they can transfer it directly to you and communicate
Mhm.
directly with you on the monthly reports as well. And if not, then you can do it through us.
Okay, so you pretty much have to have a property manager. There's no other way to do it.
Well, licensing wise, first off, you have to. You can't manage a property without a licensed property manager. I mean, for short-term stay specifically, short-term stay falls under a different legislative framework in Japan. Anything that's
Mhm.
done without a tenancy lease and for a period of potentially less than a month, which is basically all of Airbnb type properties, have
Yeah.
to get a special license and have to be managed by a licensed management company. The only exception is if you're living in the house and renting out rooms by yourself, but that's not your scenario.
Okay. Okay.
And
And
then
then,
each local municipality has its own regulations. So if the goal is definitely Airbnbing it, then the first step before we start putting money into structural inspections or paying somebody to go out and view the property for us, definitely before you spend money to come and view it yourself, the first thing we do is float any potential listings to a short-term stay research and management company, and then they will charge 20,000 yen for the first property they investigate in any given municipality, and then 10,000 yen if you have subsequent properties in the same municipality, so under the same regulations. And they'll provide a
Mhm.
detailed report on what it would take to get the casual short-term stay license, what it would cost to get, what it would require to get the more elaborate license, like the Yokan hotel license, which lets you rent out throughout the year and is, you know, kind of more less of a hassle, because with the casual short-term stay license, the authorities tend to check a lot more. They come in once in a while to make sure you're not doing anything that you're not supposed to. Once you have a hotel license, everything is a lot smoother. They just, check on you once a year and tick the boxes kind of thing. So that could
Yeah.
be an interesting option as well if you could. But to get a hotel license, you'd usually, depending on the scenario, you'd usually have to set up a local Japanese entity. So we need to make sure that the income is going to be worth the upkeep in case you set up a company. But in any
Okay.
case, we'll first float the listings to them to see if that. I mean, they can't give you a guarantee because it's always a case officer discretion kind of thing. But they'll tell
Mhm.
you, at least, if they'll provide a detailed report that tells you if the property is highly likely, moderately likely, not likely at all to get a license, and what can be done to comply if that's the case. Sometimes that's not going to be
Okay.
possible, right? Like if the local municipality says you can't be within 500 meters to a school and the property is, there's no amount of renovation we can do to fix that.
Mhm.
So before we
Yeah.
start pouring money into deeper investigations on the property itself, we need to know if it gets a license or not.
Okay. Okay. And so the other questions I had were based around like renovations.
Yep.
Um, so I see a lot of houses and I've listened to your podcast a lot. So I know we're trying to like maybe buy a little nicer so that we don't have to do all the work and deal with all that headache. But of course, I'm sure nothing's going to be perfect. So there's going to be little things we have to do. Um, because it is really cold up there. Do you know, I haven't been able to find anything online that tells me what like a general price for insulating a house is. Do you have any idea like
We
that?
usually do, if it's an entire typically sized Japanese family home, I'd say double pane windows would cost maybe, I mean, depends on what the windows are like. I mean, some of the houses have like big, sliding double door type windows, other ones have smaller
Yeah.
ones. So I'd say maybe up to about 10. Oh, sorry, the yen's a lot lower now. Up to about 1 million yen. So maybe
Okay.
8,000 US-ish for windows. If you want to actually put insulation into the walls and under the flooring, that can cost a lot more. So depending on the price of the property, if it's a relatively new and more expensive property, then it definitely makes sense to do it. If not, maybe just go for the double pane windows, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. And then I know like is there any rules around doing DIY work? Because I've done a lot of work here on my houses. Nothing crazy, but just general like carpentry and stuff like that. Am I allowed to do work on the house if I came to Japan?
Interior wise, usually not an issue as long as you're not adding any extensions, balconies. Some people add a
Yeah.
floor, add a room, that kind of thing you'll need to get approval for. Having said that, it's not like they're going to come in and check on you, but
Yeah.
to renew your short-term stay license, the municipality might look at that. So I would
Yeah.
definitely at least consult with a renovation company before doing anything major. But if you're talking about cosmetic stuff, flooring, knocking down a wall, as long as it's not a supporting wall, that should be okay.
Mhm.
But the layout needs to be submitted to municipality as a part of the license application, which means that then when they do their inspections, they will come and confirm that the layout is still the same. So if you're going to be removing walls or changing the layout, I would definitely run it at least past the authority that issues the license. And if they say it has to be done by a proper license proper renovation company, then we'll have to go that way, just to make sure that you retain
Okay.
your license.
Yeah. Because I know like, in here in the US, like there's rules, but then there's a lot of ways to,
Practice, right?
yeah. And I know Japan seemed just from my two trips to Japan and just listening to you guys, it's a very different place. So I don't want to, I don't know how much bending of rules is allowed versus the American mindset of like bending rules.
It's actually weird. Like Japan is usually much more by the book in many things, but also a lot of things are kind of left vague on purpose and are not really checked that closely. So case by case, I can't really tell you until we dig into it. And also, every local municipality would be more or less strict. So, I
Yeah.
think based on the strictness of the regulations for short-term stay licensing, we should be able to kind of assess whether. But look, to be honest, in your case, because you're dealing with a license for short-term stay that you'll have to constantly renew every year, I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't. I'd err on the strict side, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Now, if you've attended any of our recent JREP Summit events in Tokyo or online, you've probably heard our sponsor, Robert Miller from Innovations.com. He's been in web solutions here in Japan for the past 25 years, and he's also an active investor in Japanese real estate property, as well as global online property, which is his specialty and what his company Innovations is all about. They offer a full suite of website services for entrepreneurs and small business owners, including all aspects of web design and management, backup and updates, content formatting and editing, proactive maintenance and error fixing, you name it, with a strong focus on SEO excellence, which is what gets you those hardcore top of the list search engine rankings. But there is a difference. Innovations works off a simple, all inclusive monthly subscription model as opposed to the typical outdated and confusing project model. So you never have to wonder how much any request for any work to be done on your website might cost. It's always $497 per month. And if that's not enough, if you've mentioned you've heard of their services on the Japan Real Estate Podcast, you'll also get 10% off this monthly price for life. Also, and equally important, if not more, you can try out Innovations for just 1 month, then switch them off, on again later if you want, and so forth. There are no minimum subscription terms. Now, if you're a small business owner, managing and growing a website is super distracting and time consuming, right? That's exactly where Innovations comes in. Robert's team takes care of all of that for you so that you can focus on what you do best. So feel free to email Rob on robert@innovations.com, and his team will conduct a full SEO and website audit on your site, reveal anything that you should address to increase your website's appeal, and provide you with an easy to read detailed report with your own branding so that you can make some informed decisions on your online strategy and watch your business grow as you implement it. So once more, robert@innovations.com. Drop him a line and get your website reviewed today.
And then thinking about like your a client base, would you is Airbnb popular within Japan? Do Japanese people use Airbnb a lot? Obviously, I know tourists do, Western tourists. I was just wondering, like, because I would assume they would have different, preferences as
Yeah, it's
clients for
more
Airbnb.
foreign guests, but it is becoming more and more popular with Japanese guests as well. But a good short-term
Yeah.
stay management company in Japan would not rely just on Airbnb. They'd advertise on Rakuten, on Yahoo Travel, on all of the places where your
Okay.
Japanese guests would normally be looking. It's never going to be strictly Airbnb. If it is, we'll probably advise to get another PM.
Yeah. And do you know what like the going rate? In the US, they usually charge 20% of gross. Is
20
it
to
similar
30%,
in Japan?
20 to 30%, but the actual percentage and what's it calculated on varies between companies. So some of them will charge 20% of everything that the tenant pays. Some of them will charge 30%, but only from the actual rent, not including like the cleaning fees or whatever the tenant pays separately,
Got
the
it.
guest pays. So case by case, depending on the management company, we'll obviously have all of that before we sign up with them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's most of my questions answered. Yeah, we're really interested in doing it. It's something that we would like to use ourselves. Oh, the other question I had. So I know
Yep.
the license restricts you to 180 days. So obviously
The
the project
casual
management
license, the
company.
casual license. If you get the hotel license, it's all
Yeah.
throughout the year.
Yeah. Obviously the property management company would deal with it, so I wouldn't have to. But I was just wondering, is it like 180 days where you can advertise every single day, and then once that 180-day threshold is hit, then you stop? Or is it like limited to advertising too?
No, no, no. It's actual stays. And what most people do is they compensate for the rest of the year with monthly stays. So monthly stays don't fall under any special legislation. It's just a normal rental, as long as it's
Got it.
done for officially a period of 1 month and with an actual tenancy lease in place, which can be just like a single page memorandum.
Yeah.
And also, what a lot of people do is they make to comply with that, they make the official lease for a month, but then they charge the guest per the actual number of days that they're staying, right? So then you can try to fill it in the rest of the year via monthly stays, but we'll need to make sure that the management company can actually do that before we sign up with them again.
Okay. So if you were to do monthly stays and you wouldn't technically need a PM, right?
You wouldn't, but you still
Just
need to handle
theoretically.
the logistics of booking and moving in and moving out. So you'll have to set up your own channels for all of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I'm used to managing it from far away. My Airbnbs are like a 7-hour drive from where I live.
Yeah, but you're
Um,
managing it in English. This is a very different situation here.
of course, of
Yeah.
course, I know. Yeah,
I mean,
Airbnb does a really good job
if you're
translating.
constantly if you're catering only to foreign guests, then that's probably doable. But if you want Japanese guests as well, there probably has to be at least somebody who can communicate with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of everything I was going over in my head because where I have my Airbnbs, I have a very good foundation of connections and a good group of people, which would be extremely hard for me to make in this town in Japan. Um,
Maybe after
so
you
yeah,
repeatedly visited for a few years, but yeah.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
put
of
you
course.
if you remind me after we speak, I'll put you in touch with Mark, one of our customers who bought up there in Otaru. He was on one of our podcast episodes as well, and
Oh wow,
we helped him purchase, but he's hit the ground running like you wouldn't believe. He's purchased further. He's opening up an Airbnb. He's helping, and he's got a hell of a network there for everything that you need. He's usually quite generous with his time, so I'll put you in touch and see if he can assist a bit.
that would be awesome.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we were there, we noticed there wasn't a lot of foreigners there.
Yep.
Last year we went to a ski town, we went to Miyako, and it was almost all foreigners. So it's
Yep.
two very different
I think you'll
experiences.
see that happening in Otaru very soon as well, at least based on the amount of inquiries we get about the place.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That means a lot of people. The other question I had was we were talking today, and there's so many places in the world that end up 20 years ago it was super cheap to purchase. Um, what is your future outlook on Japan? Obviously, no one has a crystal ball, but housing wise, do you see a lot of people, foreigners investing and buying more than ever?
That definitely, but buying versus investing is where I'd make the distinction. So the places where we buy for investment purposes, if we're catering to Japanese tenants or Japanese, let's put short-term stay aside for a moment, but long-term Japanese tenants, we want to invest in a place where we have a tenant base, right? Where the population is growing or at least stable. When you're talking about holiday properties that you're renting out to guests, then we just need to go for the tourist destinations, whether the population is increasing or decreasing. And then on the far side of that, people who are just buying holiday homes for their own personal use often buy them way out in rural areas. There's nobody there, and that's what they like, right?
Yeah.
So depending on the type and purpose of the investment, it varies. But generally speaking, I'd say most places in Japan are slowly conglomerating into the bigger metropolitan centers, which probably means that the top, let's call it 7 to 15 cities, will continue to gain in population. It's not organic growth. It's just, people moving into the city because the smaller townships are dying out. That will probably continue for at least a decade or two, by which time, fingers crossed, maybe the government will wake up and do something about the population decline, like, actually
Yeah.
making it attractive for people to have children, or increasing immigration, or whatever the case may be. But that's a bit long term from my perspective. As an investor, I usually look at the next 5, 10 years, because I don't know what's going to happen beyond that, macro and microeconomically, or even in my own
Yeah.
life. So for the next 5, 10 years, I'd say all of the big cities will definitely continue to gain in population, probably more than 10 years. But for your purposes, if Airbnb is definitely the way you're leaning, I would focus on tourist destinations, not so much on population growth.
Yeah.
The foreign interest is definitely there and will stay, I think, unless something major happens.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
tenant base is what I'm usually concerned on. When we talk about population, it usually in the context of the long-term residency tenant base.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we're definitely focused just because I have a few long-term rentals here as well, but I enjoy the short-term rental process, like designing the place and not that I would be interacting with clients here, but just the whole process of it. So that's definitely
But I
what we
mean,
want to focus.
that you'll need to. It's bandwidth consuming. You'll have to, beyond the purchase itself, you want to see what vacancy, occupancy rates, what the competition is doing, how much you should charge per night. I mean, the property manager will do a lot of that for you, but you definitely want to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm used, I have three of them here, so I'm very used to that.
Are you still
And
employed, or is that all that you do?
so I do construction management. We are what's called the FSA vendor. We do construction management for cell towers for T-Mobile in New York City. And then that's my main job. And then Airbnb, I run the three Airbnbs myself as a side job.
So you got a full-time
Yeah.
job, and the side job is those three Airbnbs, and you're going to
Yes.
be increasing that with a bit more hands-on management with the Japanese Airbnb. Just make sure you get some sleep, yeah?
Yeah, I think I got to figure that out. Um,
Cool.
Luckily, the Airbnbs have become, it's been 4 years, so they're kind of in a rhythm. They're kind of streamlined. Um, so yeah, we wanted to keep growing it there, but it's hitting a point where it's getting to the returns aren't good anymore. I mean, the housing market's just insane here.
With new
Um,
purchases, you mean? Yeah, got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and personally, I like to invest in places I like to go because I feel like if I like to go there as a skier, probably other people do too.
Completely with you there. Like, no
Yeah.
offense, but I wouldn't be investing in the US, for example.
Understandable.
Unless I can afford
Very
maybe New
understandable.
York, or central, I don't know, LA, or what have you. But otherwise, yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
I had one investment property in Jackson, Mississippi. That was a very short love affair.
Yeah, where in Mississippi?
Jackson.
Oh, in Jackson. Okay. I've been to Mississippi. I've never been to Jackson,
Yeah,
Mississippi.
no, that was a mistake. Let's not go there.
How did you find Jackson, Mississippi? How was that place decided?
Well, we were looking into that just after the global financial crisis, so that would be 2011 is when we got into the market there. And there were foreclosure deals all over the place. A lot of people spooking how much money you can make, which was obviously possible if you were boots on the ground or with reliable remote local property management companies, which we did not have. So
Yeah.
ended up like when we kept asking for our money, we ended up finding out that a tree has fallen on the property and completely demolished the roof about 3 years ago, and they haven't done anything about it since then. And when
Oh
we
my
got a bit
God.
more aggressive in demanding our money, they just filed for bankruptcy. We ended up giving the property to a local realtor just to stop paying the property taxes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
It
thought
was
it was going to
cheap.
be like a, yeah. I thought it was going to be like a problem tenant situation because those are very, very common here.
Yeah, yeah, I have been hearing about that too. But yeah, anyway, it was just a case of me being, jumping into a gold rush that turned out not to be real with entirely on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all my questions.
Okay. So with us, you've got a rough idea of how we work, how we can help with the purchase management. I think. Have you been in contact with our marketing lady? Has she sent you the explanation of services document and all that?
No, no, I would love to
No.
get that.
Let me send that to you now, just because I'm going to be jumping to another call after this one and I'm bound to forget. Hang on. So just the sections in there relating to management, just bear in mind you might not need that. If you're going the Airbnb route, you might be able to deal directly with the management company, so you might not need our help for that. But just so you have a rough idea
Okay.
of how it works if you do.
And so a project management company would probably they would handle like the utility bills. It would be completely hands off, right?
Uh,
Essentially.
you will need to make bottom line decisions, but hopefully it would be hands off. Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. It really varies with the city. Some of them have, like, for example, if we go to Kyoto City, I've got companies there that don't need to talk to us. They can do everything directly with you. They're so used to dealing with foreign landlords and foreign guests. Otaru
Mm.
specifically, I haven't dug into, so I can't tell you. It could be a bit of a hybrid where they can say, okay, well, you sign up for utilities, but we'll get it and pay it. Or it might be a case of, no, we need somebody to be your proxy. Or it might be a case of, yeah, we can do everything. I don't know. We'll need to
Okay.
research local companies and find out. If we don't find
Okay.
any local management companies that we can work with, then the same company that will do the research on the feasibility of the license for you can also do manage properties all over Japan remotely. So they install electronic locks, and as long as they can get cleaners in the area to come in and out between the guests, then they can
Yeah,
handle remotely anywhere in the country. But if we get a local, it's obviously better if we can find one.
of
So
course.
we'll
Yeah.
see how we go. It's a case by case, city by city kind of thing.
Okay. Awesome. And the guy Mark, should I message? I'll message you after the call, and
Oh, yes,
that's
please
that's
message me to remind you, and I'll put you in touch with him.
all right. Awesome. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Great talking to you. Talk to
Have
you
a great
soon.
day.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye bye. We interrupt this broadcast to tell you about Tokyo Family Stays. They're a short-term rentals company in Tokyo, and they offer a home away from home experience, which is just perfect for remote working, quarantining, if that's still a thing, or if you just need somewhere quiet to get away from the world. They offer a variety of options for families, corporate relocations, or even if you're simply transitioning between homes in Tokyo. The properties are super comfortable, tastefully furnished, fully equipped with all amenities, and they accommodate up to 10 people. So really the only thing you'll need to bring with you is your toothbrush and maybe a change of clothes. They come with fast unlimited wireless internet, dedicated workspaces, and fully equipped kitchens, and they're just a delight to stay in. Fantastic alternative to Japanese business hotels, which if you've ever stayed in one, you probably know they're tiny, they're noisy, fine for a night or two if you're on your own, but longer term or with a family, you'll probably feel you're in a jail cell very quickly in a Japanese business hotel. So if you want to give yourself a sense of space and freedom by renting a real home with comfortable Western beds, including all the necessities like baby bedding, children's toys, high chairs, etc., you definitely want to reach out to Tokyo Family Stays. They've been at it for over a decade. They're a fully licensed minpaku or short-term stay operator. And as a special bonus for our viewers and listeners, they're also throwing in a breakfast basket upon arrival for anyone who books and mentions the Japan Real Estate Podcast or NTI. And not only for guests, if you're a property owner, you've got an investment property that you want to tweak for higher profit, or a holiday home that you want to rent out when you're not using it via short-term stays, drop them a line today, see how they can help you maximize your property's income. And again, as a special bonus to our viewers and listeners, they're also offering a free audit of your existing short-term stay listings without any obligation whatsoever. So feel free to reach out to them at tokyofamilystays.com. Well worth a visit. And again, if you're in the market for a family home in or around the Tokyo metropolitan area, Emil's your man. Don't be shy to reach out to him as well at sales@realestate.jp. And now, back to the podcast. All right, so now for our second conversation. This one's with an Akiya buyer, or Akiya hunter, I should say, who's in the market for a super cheap rural abandoned property that he's planning to buy and renovate on his own. So we talk about the balance between purchase price and renovation costs and when that strategy actually makes sense or doesn't. We dig into what major structural problems might look like and how, if at all, can that cost be quantified and estimated accurately. We do some live deal analysis, reviewing potential listings together, so you might want to hop over to our YouTube channel for this one. We'll link to it in the show notes. And we also talk about how we prioritize listings based on potential red flags, viewings, whether in person or remote, and how to actually find those potential listings, on which websites or platforms or other methods of sourcing potential deals. So good deep dive into the Akiya scene, or at least the cheaper end of that market segment. Enjoy this conversation as well, and I'll see you again one last time on the other side. Awesome. So let me scroll back through your email just to refresh my non-existent memory. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Get to us through Japan. You're looking for some property in Japan. So 15 to 30. Wow, that's like shack in the woods territory there. Are you aware of what comes with these older, dilapidated homes?
Yeah. That's just that would be like my preliminary budget. I have a larger budget for renovations and things like that, but I'm hoping to go for a property within like the 30 range. And then since I'm here off and on, when I come back, I can do the renovations one at a time, or I can change things as necessary.
What's your budget for the renovations, though? Because you might end up pouring a couple of times the price of the property again into it if it's that old.
Well,
Or are you the DIY type? Are you going to be doing everything yourself? I mean, obviously not structural and plumbing and wiring, but everything else?
yeah, I actually do. I do a lot of that myself. I make
Okay.
quite a bit myself back home. So I'm pretty comfortable with all of that. That's why in the email I said the things I want to avoid are like a roof renovation or plumbing renovations, things like that. Because yeah, that would be the entire sum of the initial price of the house to get those things done.
Yes. So, like you wrote, most of the stuff you wrote in your email, roof can be depending on the size of the house. But let's say if the whole roof needs to be replaced on a typical family home size, somewhere between 2 to 4 million yen.
Yeah.
And tilting, sinking, and termites. I mean, even if the infestation is gone, we don't know how deep they got into the woods. So that could be anything really. I mean, the cost of a brand new construction is about 15 million yen. So if you're going to end up pouring 10 million yen into it, it's not really worth it anymore, right?
Right.
You're the boss. We'll help you buy whatever you want to buy, but I'd be a lot more comfortable if you'd aim for 8, 9 million yen and not have to do that many renovations.
Uh, I would be open to a larger or a higher budget.
Just to clarify, we get the same commission anyway if it's 8 million yen or under, so we're not really
Yeah.
concerned. Yeah, I'm just strictly thinking about what's down the track for you. That's all.
Yeah, and I think that I'd be open to one if, as they say, if the price is right. Like if I see it and I'm like, okay, this is definitely worth just paying everything up front.
Mm.
If it's a scenario that kind of deems that for me. But I'm fairly comfortable doing a lot of renovations myself. I did all the renovations for my family home back in the States. I have a house in Sweden also, and I do renovations there also. So there's like a certain amount that I'm like fully expectant to be okay with.
Yep.
And I've been living in Fujiyoshida the last 2 years. I've been living in a house that's quite old. Not.
Oh, you're a Japanese resident. I thought you were okay. Got it.
I was here on work visa initially. I lived in Hamamatsu for a year.
Right.
But then my family's health declined and I had to move back. But I'm a portrait painter, so I come and stay at art residencies now. So last year I was here in Fujiyoshida for 3 months. And then unexpectedly, those health situations arose again with my parents. And so, I went back and now I'm back again.
Mm.
And that's why this time I was like, okay, I really need to start this process. And yeah, I happen to be here until May 1st still. So
Okay, got it.
yeah, but the
Do you
house
want
is
me to share
title.
my screen so we'll review those listings you sent together?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, give me a sec.
Yeah. And I found
Where?
another also that we can talk about
Yeah,
later.
put it in the chat. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Number 3. Okay, so this one. Obviously, you can read kanji better than me, but my kanji skills are not that advanced, so I'll have to use the translation. Okay, so 40. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. I thought we'd be looking at something even older than that. It's going on 50 though. So even once you get, let's say the structural inspection doesn't bring up any major structural issues. Oh, they've done the interior. That's nice. And everything is kosher when you buy it. You'll still be looking at on average, if you are not doing things on your own, I'd say on average 2 to 4 thousand bucks a year in annual just maintenance and repairs just due to the age, not to fix any major issues.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
that's not the house anymore. Okay. Um, it's built on an elevated retaining wall here.
I saw that.
If
Yeah.
if and when that needs to be rebuilt, that could be about 10 million. Hopefully you'll be able to patch it up till Kingdom Come, but let's say slightly severe earthquake and it has to be rebuilt, that can be about 10 million right there.
Got it. Okay.
Because the earth then needs to be repacked around the house again in a lot of cases. Otherwise, what else do we have here? Not seeing mention of sewage and water supply. Oh, maybe here? No.
Yeah, and that was my one of my questions because when I was looking it over, I was like, this seems quite nice for the price point that it's at and the location also. And I was like,
Well,
so what am I
the
missing?
landslide warning area might have something to do with that if it's a red zone. We'll have to confirm with the agent whether it's yellow zone or red zone. If it's red zone, that would be a major factor because you could face the risk of very real evacuation every year. I mean, you've
Got it.
lived here, you know what it's like during typhoon season
Yeah.
and that. And yes, the other thing is I want to know, oh, water. Okay, water supply we do have, but they haven't mentioned the sewage. So if they haven't mentioned it, I'm guessing it might be a kumitori, a cesspool under the house. And that stinks to high heaven if you've experienced any of those before. So that one you'll definitely want to replace at least with a septic tank, which is going to be about 1 million yen.
Yeah.
Or if possible, connect to city sewage if the pipes reach to the boundaries, and that would be 2 to 3 million yen. So again, that's the kind of thing I mean. Like you're buying for 3.5, but you might need to put another 3.5 into it just to get it livable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
And
that
that's
was my
without the
exact
structural inspection. We don't even know what structural issues are there.
yeah, that was my exact initial thing. I was like, is it connected to the main sewage line? What's the deal there? So
If they're not
yeah,
mentioning it, I'm assuming there's a reason they're not mentioning because they have mentioned. Sometimes they just forget to mention both, or they don't put in the info. But they have mentioned it's connected to city water, so
got it.
I'm assuming it's probably pump toilet. Okay, so this one is well. The advantage of this one though, and the other one is that they're a bit smaller. So if they're
Yeah.
smaller than a typical Japanese family home, it means that renovations, repair, structural inspection will hopefully be a bit cheap. 62 years old. Wow. Okay.
And I
Um,
actually love this house quite a bit. I really do. So I initially I think I made it the second listing, and I'm kind of thinking if possible this would be my
I like this
first.
style too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and it's just me. And so a smaller
That you'll
place to
want to
kind of
replace for sure, that bath, right?
yeah.
Okay, cute. I see the attraction. Let me. And it does say water supply and sewage. Okay, so my only issue with this one is potentially what major structural issues we'll find during a structural inspection. But I mean, the naked eye is not going to tell us that anyway.
Yeah, correct.
When we contact the agent, if they already know about something, they will let us know, and then we can decide if we want to go ahead with the viewing and go ahead with the structural inspection or not. I'm
Wonderful.
assuming you read fluent, so I'm assuming you also speak fairly fluent Japanese.
Not comfortably. I learned in a very broken way as on instructor visa. So I can ascertain what people are saying more than I can conjugate and reply.
Okay,
Yeah, so
that
that's why
sounds
I'm
like
like,
me
I'm just
actually.
not,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just not comfortable with it. And that's why I was so keen on finding you.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's
Okay,
a,
I'm just thinking from the point of a viewing. You're in Japan, so normally you'd be able to attend viewings on your own, but we'll need to make sure somebody is at least with you on Zoom if the listing
yeah.
agent is open to that, or if not, maybe we might need to send somebody in with you. We'll see how the listing agents
Yeah.
how open they are. Okay. Did you have a third link you wanted to send? Put it in the chat for me.
Yeah, I will. Let me see here. I have it in my notes here, so let me grab it.
Now, here's some big news for anyone interested in Akiya, the abandoned vacant homes that are abundant all around Japan for very attractive purchase prices. Akiya Mart, our latest sponsor, is a recently founded online search and discovery tool for Japanese real estate. Its user interface will be very familiar to users of Zillow or Redfin. The platform essentially scouts the internet for property listings, translates them into English, and displays prices in US dollars, all in one place and with a dynamic map interface that makes browsing, finding, and shortlisting your favorite properties a piece of cake. Which any of you who have been struggling with the dozens, if not hundreds, of Japanese property websites that are available online and their very clunky interface will probably find a real blessing. They've got already over 500,000 listings on the platform, and the database is expanding daily. Ranging from abandoned rural homes to luxury urban properties, Akiya Mart makes it easy to find your dream home in Japan, regardless of your budget. Now, while the platform is essentially free for use, here's an exclusive offer for listeners of the podcast. You can use the promo code NTI to receive $5 off Akiya Mart Pro. The subscription will unlock a bunch of very attractive features for you, including unrestricted access to the entire nationwide property database and a whole range of filters, which will help power charge your search for that elusive perfect home and make it even easier. So hop over to akiya-mart.com, that's Akiya-Mart, akiya-mart.com, and kick off your search today. You know how to pick him, Corey. I'll give you that. Beautiful houses.
It's gorgeous. I'm actually kind of my closest friend just actually moved to this area, and so when I found it, I was like, "Wow, this would be really great." And I'm kind
Oh,
of amazed.
wow. I love
Yeah.
this.
So I'm thinking, what am I not seeing here? Because it's quite a good price for this property is magical.
Well, I mean, the interior will take a bit of work. The original is beautiful, but like rooms like these, you probably want to replace. Very much a grandmother vibe to it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What was that? Was that a private? Oh no, it's the river nearby, I guess. What is that?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say in the listing what it is
Well, I think it
exactly.
might be like an old koi pool or something, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's just gone unused, so that's quite cute, quite promising.
That's a beautiful property. And that's an
Yeah.
attachment to it, or is that part of the main? Oh no, it's part connected to the main house.
Yeah, it says something about how there is a second structure in there.
Oh, so that must have been it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one, when was this one built? What's that? Showa 53?
Hmm.
Showa 53, yeah.
I
Okay.
do believe it says
Showa
that it's on
50.
a septic tank, that one, but
Oh,
it
okay. That's
is,
not as old as I thought. I thought it was old in 19. So that's kind of similar to the first one. Okay. Um, water supply, sewerage, not connected to sewage. There is a pub. Okay. Um, not sure what they mean. Yellow zone is not too bad. Not sure what they mean about the sewage. So again, something to
yeah,
look into. But I mean, again, assuming it's maybe a pump toilet, then maybe factor in another million yen if you want to go cheap with a septic tank or potentially connect to sewage, maybe for a little bit more, depending on where it is.
yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
no, I don't think at this age, I don't think it's an extremely low price. It's usually what they go for if they're in the Inaka like this one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I guess they're kind of in reverse order now. That one is kind of my number one. And then the one we just looked at before, that's number two. And then the one in Saitama's number three, the one on the
Okay,
slope. Yeah.
okay. How far are you from there? Where are you staying now?
I'm in Shimiyoshida, so it's a ward next to Fujiyoshida, but
Okay,
I'm station's right next to me. So I can get to those properties within half a day if I needed to.
right.
Um, and you're located in Fukuoka or?
We're based in Fukuoka, so what we normally do is, I think Faye forwarded our explanation of services document,
Yeah.
so we normally would be doing everything on your behalf, and you'd pay us a fixed percentage of the property price. But we're a little bit swamped with clients at the moment and struggling with recruiting and training, so we've put that on hold until I think about the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay.
What I have been doing in the last few months and will continue to do until then is I'll put you directly in touch with a foreigner-friendly realtor who'll be able to deal with you as a proxy, as the buyer's agent. And they'll do everything that we would have done. They'll be able to handle everything in English remotely if you're not here on your behalf. Being realtors, though, they're transaction oriented. I mean, they're honest, they're Japanese, but they're transaction oriented. So the kind of conversation that we just had about things to watch out for, telling you what questions to ask. They're not going to do that much of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can join as consultants for a few $100 and just hold your hand along the way.
Okay.
With remote viewings, depending on where it is in your area, we'll probably send someone from Tokyo. If somebody has to go with you, if the
Yeah.
agent's open to a remote viewing with us joining via Zoom, then we'll do that. But if we have send somebody in with you, it'll be from Tokyo. If you're
Okay.
looking west, if it's around Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe, Nara, then we send people from Osaka. And anything west of that or far north like Hokkaido or Okinawa, then we usually come in ourselves from Fukuoka. It's about the same price anyway.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
So yeah, if you want to wait for us to do everything on your behalf, it'll be towards the end of the year. If you're happy with the consulting, then we can start anytime. And I'm also happy to just introduce you to an agent and jump out. Don't feel obliged to hire us. We're fine just making introductions. We don't charge for that.
Oh, I'm fine with that arrangement, and hiring is not a problem. I feel much more comfortable with more people helping me than less.
With the consulting, it's not that expensive either. It's 66,000 yen for a 10-hour retainer, and that usually suffices for a single purchase unless you're going to be super picky, but you don't strike me as super picky.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and that all sounds wonderful. I'm fine with starting the process now. Um, and you can just be honest, do you think that I should wait, or do you think right now is
Well, the
okay?
consulting route works very well. I mean, just we have a lot of our customers just don't want to talk to multiple people. They just want to put everything in our hands and you fly with it and let me know where to sign. So for them, we have the full purchase facilitation, but the consulting works very well. I've been doing it for almost a year now and people seem to be quite happy.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. That would work great. And then I think because I'm still here for another month or so, it's kind of nice to see the process start. I obviously don't have an expectation of it of a deal closing in that time. I've
Oh,
dealt,
if we can get the viewings at least while you're here, that'll be nice if you can see them
yeah,
yourself.
and that's what I think. I would actually love that if I could have the viewings done and then finish out everything else while I'm gone. Um,
Do you
yeah,
want to maybe line up one or two more? Because we got it's a half day for you to travel to each of them, but they're in different locations, right?
they are. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I could.
any chance to like focus on one location per viewing day, just so we're not wasting, because you probably will have to pay somebody to go with you. I just want to make sure you're not spending too much money on like going all sorts of different places on different days.
Right, understandable. Yeah, I could line up two more. If it yeah, I was actually hoping to initially I was trying to find property in Kofu because it's so close to me.
Yeah.
I can get up and back in an hour and a half, an hour from there. But there's no properties in a price range that I would be kind of comfortable with.
Well, whatever buyer side agent will put you in touch with will also be able to research. I mean, Japan doesn't have that many off-market properties, but there's sometimes something that they can get that, is maybe not listed on the major property websites.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, but other than that, I kind of had my eye on at least one other one, but it was sort of an outlier, so to speak. It had promise, but it definitely looked like it, especially the outside of it, needed some extra care. I think if I don't know if I sent it to you.
I haven't seen any others in the email.
Okay. Yeah, I can actually see if I have it. Um, it was kind of a interesting property because I'm a studio painter and worker.
Oh, no, hang on. There is one more that we haven't looked at. Hang on.
Okay.
Sorry.
That might
Maybe
be
that
it.
is the one. Give me a
Yeah.
second.
But it may also just be in a completely different direction now that I'm thinking about it.
Something coming up.
Yeah.
No, gone.
Okay.
That one's gone. I don't even know where it was. It doesn't say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can try to line up a few. Do you think it would be good to find some within another one of those areas where I already have a prospected property to look
Well,
at?
just to save on trip expense, because the other thing is we're looking at older properties, so there's a fairly good chance that many, if not all of them, will fall through on the structural inspection. So if you've only viewed 3 of them and then they all don't pass the inspection, that's the other thing is you'll be spending about $1,000 on each structural inspection. That's another reason to aim for the younger ones if you can. But if they all fall out of process because of the structural condition, then we just looked at 2 or 3 of them and we have to go back to the drawing board. So the
Right.
more
Okay.
we can prep in advance, the better our chances of landing on one that's in good condition.
Okay.
I mean, I
Then I
wouldn't
can
go
pick
beyond 5 or 6 listings, not to overwhelm the buyer side agent. But if we can get about 5, that'll probably be a good starting point.
Okay. Yeah, I can find a few more and just send them over. Uh, I just have to look through the listings that I have in the
Yep.
newsletter. Um, let's see if I can find some in those.
Which newsletter is that? Oh, Cheap Houses Japan?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
what I was using.
hand curated. I would look on actual property web. I mean, it's a fantastic. Michael does an amazing job, but it's a very limited selection because it's the ones that he hand curated for you, right?
Okay. So I can just go to the website, let's say for one of those, and then see what other ones are listed and try to find some in the same area listed from the same.
I would go to the major Japanese property websites like Sumo at Homes and Homes. Also, are you on Akiya Mart?
No. Mm.
I'll reply to your last email with with the website and also with the discount code. I mean, they charge a subscription, but it's pretty cheap, and I'll give you a discount code. What they do is they scrape all of the major property websites and present them in English with a intelligent format, like a drill down map interface, like Zillow or Redfin. Just
Okay,
makes it
that's
a
okay.
lot easier to search.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great. And then I can find some more.
Yes. Do I have you on WhatsApp or Line?
I don't
No, I
know,
don't think so.
but
So
I can
my
give you.
email signature, the last email I just sent to you now, my email signature has my mobile number. If you could add me there and then message me with the final shortlist kind of in order of priority.
Okay.
And then we'll loop a agent in and we'll get started.
Okay. No, that sounds great.
Awesome. Great talking to
Yeah,
you.
awesome. Yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Talk to you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. So there you have it. 2 nice little conversations, I thought. We managed to go pretty deep into both topics, short-term stay rentals and cheap Akiya shopping. Hope you found some value in it. Let us know what you thought. Now, before we go, we're also, as always, going to tell you and also link to our other sponsor's website. That's Hiroshi Shimizu, immigration lawyer and administrative scrivener. If you're thinking about moving here on a more permanent basis, or you're already in Japan on some sort of a temporary visa and you want to switch to a longer term or permanent one, or if you're considering setting up a local company or a branch office of a foreign company and you've got any sort of business or visa related inquiries, or even if you just want to find out what your options are on any of these topics, feel free to contact Hiroshi Shimizu. You can find him at japanimmigrationexperts.com. And he can help you set up a company, apply for any kind of visa, or just provide you with the best advice and extremely affordable consultation related to these topics. And he's already done that for many of our listeners. So feel free to reach out to him. Again, that's japanimmigrationexperts.com, and you'll be well on your way. And that's it from us for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Japan Real Estate Podcast. Do share it with your networks, and please let us know what you think. So leave us a short rating or review on the iTunes Store, on Spotify, or just drop us a line in the comment section or wherever you might have found this episode. We love hearing from you. Hope to have you with us again next time, and until then, have a great day or night ahead. Yoroshiku.